The crowd recognized him on arrival and immediately started chanting his old name, whom Tensai would randomly beat up after his losses in what appeared to be the only storyline development available to him. It was one of the worst gimmicks in WWE history.
It was like a Bray Wyatt situation to when he first arrived and they kept chanting Husky hair. Wyatt's gimmick was so fucking good. He shook all of that shit off.
Oh, what's up? Oh, what's up?
Yo, what up? It's Maja back here with another video. Today we're about to be reacting to a video by Wrestle Fusion. The video is going to be on the worst wrestler from every era in WWE. Oh man, I think there's a lot. I can't even fucking pick, bro. I seen on the thumbnail, yeah, that's a good one. Eva Marie. Eva Marie was a terrible ass wrestler. We didn't even get to see like what the hell she was like wrestling. I don't even think she got to finish like her matches that well. I think I seen her wrestle down in NXT. It was okay, but not that good. But in the old modern wrestling, I wasn't around during that time. I wasn't born. But early Attitude Era, there's a lot of them. Fuck. Shit. Late 2000s, there's a lot of them too. But no further, let's get into this. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you've been enjoying all these wrestling videos, because I've been trying to release them every day, bro, or every other day, bro. But I'm on it, bro. If y'all like wrestling content, literally like and subscribe for that, bro. But let's get into it.
Every WWE era has its icons, but it also has its fair share of wrestlers so bad you can't help but cringe. From the infinite botches of Tonga Loa to the absurdity of Giant Gonzalez, in this video, we're looking at the worst WWE wrestler from every era, starting with the current one and going all the way back to the 80s. The Renaissance era has had better in-ring action than almost any other era in wrestling. You have names like Gunther, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Kevin Owens, and many others who can put on classics every month. But this era has also had its share of misfires. Ava Raine, despite her famous last name, proved that bloodline connections only get you so far when the charisma isn't there. Gable Steveson was an Olympic gold medalist who was supposed to be the next Kurt Angle.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, I'd really never seen Ava Raine wrestle, bro. Maybe that's why she probably quit. I mean, she had a good thing going into like the general manager thing. I think she could have still continued to do that, but like, I mean, I guess she wanted to pursue another career, bro, because she had The Rock on her side. She's literally The Rock's daughter, bro. So I'm pretty sure that's why they kept her around long enough, but she asked for her release,
but came nowhere close to the wrestling machine in the ring. Top Dollar from Hit Row became a meme and was released faster than most people could learn his name. But nobody became a bigger highlight reel of botches in this era, quite like Tonga Loa. From the moment he debuted at Backlash France in May 2024, it became painfully clear that his run was doomed from the start. The botches came fast and often. WWE seemed to realize they couldn't put this man inside the ring, and he ended up essentially functioning as a glorified security guard for Solo Sikoa's MFT. But before Tonga Loa's Botch Fest, the previous era brought a different kind of disaster. The new era arrived in 2016 with promise and a brand split. The women's revolution was in full swing. NXT was producing generational talent. Styles was putting on 5-star matches every month. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, The Shield, Nakamura. For the first time in years, it felt like in-ring quality was actually being rewarded. But at the same time, you had stars like James Ellsworth, a glorified jobber with no chin and no future who somehow ended up in a feud with AJ Styles and even defeated.
honestly, I don't really think James Ellsworth really kind of went for the wrestling type. He just wanted, I feel like he just wanted to wrestle, bro, and wanted to like entertain basically. He's still on the independent circuit that I've seen. Every time I scroll through a video and I see like a random ass cameo by this nigga sometimes. But he was only picked up because like his appearance and, you know, his popularity with the fucking people back then. But you know, when they got tired of him, they had to chuck him out of there. But yeah, he right on this list about this guy.
Jinder Mahal was handed the WWE Championship with nothing to justify it beyond a steroid physique and a convenient visit to India. Jax was physically dangerous, and not in the good way, injuring everyone she shared the ring with. But nothing from this era compares to Eva Marie. Eva Marie's story is fascinating because it happened twice.
Hey, one more thing. I seen something on Twitter that says the worst, like I think recent era of WWE title reigns, and they had Jey Uso and Jinder Mahal. Bro, the IWC is just so picky. They just picking on Jay like hell, bro. And sometimes it's just for nothing, bro. Like, bro, I'm sorry. Jay is a way better wrestler than fucking Jinder Mahal. I'm sorry, hands down, bro. But that title reign was way better than what's the name, Jinder Mahal's. What are we talking
She
about?
first appeared in 2013, hired primarily as a cast member for WWE's reality show Total Divas, and was thrown onto live television before she'd learned how to execute a basic wrestling match. She'd later admit herself that she was, in her own words, terrible. The problem was supposed to be solved when she went to NXT. She improved marginally to the point where she had one passable match against Bayley in late 2015. Then she was brought back to the main roster in 2016, given the All Red Everything entrance package, pulled from television after weeks of vignettes, and released in 2017. That should have been the end of her story. Unfortunately, it wasn't. In 2021, Eva Marie returned. Fans generously gave her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe 5 years away had given her the time to develop her skills.
Nope.
Maybe she'd put in the work. Spoiler alert, she hadn't. She was squashed almost immediately in a feud with Doudrop and was released again within months. 8 total years in wrestling, 0 improvement, 0 meaningful matches. In an era that finally proved women's...
Bro, you can tell people like Maxine Dupree work so fucking hard. I feel like Eva Marie was literally like Maxine Dupree, but like Maxine Dupree literally had more hard work and more ethic. You can tell like between who's really into wrestling and who really wants it, bro. Because Maxine Dupree really fucking improved her whole wrestling style.
Wrestling could headline the biggest show of the year, Eva Marie simply didn't fit in. But if you think that was bad, the PG era had its own share of flops. The PG era gets a complicated reputation. On one hand, CM Punk was delivering the best work of his career. Daniel Bryan was making everything he touched look like $1 million. Guys like Cena and Taker delivered quality, while Shawn Michaels was somehow still having the best matches on the card well into his 40s. The in-ring quality at the top of the card was elite, but the problem was everything beneath it. The PG era's lower card was a wasteland of cartoonish characters, wasted pushes, and concepts that seemed to have been approved by people who had never actually watched professional wrestling. Brodus Clay debuted with weeks of teaser vignettes promising a monstrous heel, then arrived as a dancing dinosaur.
Such a fucking letdown. That is such a fucking letdown to this day, bro. I have a feeling that nigga could have did way better. He's a decent wrestler, but I had a feeling that whole thing could have did way better. But he got shocked by the Vince McMahon gimmick, and that really kind of fucked him up. Hornswoggle, he wasn't really... Yeah, I feel like he was just a gag act. That was it.
Fixture of television for the better part of a decade with no notable matches. The Great Khali moved so slowly that his opponents had to pause mid-sequence just to let him catch up. Oksana, Jinder Mahal in his first run, Heath Slater on a permanent losing streak. The mid-card was a rotating door of forgotten names who existed primarily to make main eventers look good. But the single greatest disaster of this era came in April 2012, when mysterious Japanese vignettes aired in WWE and out came Lord Tensai. The execution was embarrassing from minute one. The man under the Lord Tensai makeup was Matt Bloom, formerly Prince Albert, formerly A-Train, a guy who had spent years being chanted at to shave his back by this exact same audience. The crowd recognized him on arrival and immediately started chanting his old names. The Japanese outfit, the face tattoos that rubbed off mid-match, the green mist, the valet Sakamoto, whom Tensai would randomly beat up after his losses in what appeared to be the only storyline development available to him. It was one of the worst gimmicks in WWE history. The booking tried hard to...
That shit was terrible. This was like a Bray Wyatt situation to when he first arrived and they kept chanting Husky Harris, but Bray Wyatt's gimmick was so fucking good. He shook all of that shit off within, I'd say, a month or at least 2. But this motherfucker, he could not shake it off because like the terrible fucking booking. Like I seen some like other clips of like him in Japan. He was actually a fucking beast in Japan, and for him to come back like this, and they already know who he is, and this gimmick just not getting over like this is just terrible. This whole thing, they let this nigga beat John Cena, bro, and this shit still didn't get over.
Make him look intimidating. Tensai beat John Cena in his first month. He even pinned the WWE champion, CM Punk.
Damn.
Those wins should have established him as a legit threat. But instead, the crowd's indifference proved impossible to overcome. And by June 2012, the losing streak had begun. 3 months of consecutive losses followed. Soon after, the gimmick was dropped and Sakamoto disappeared without explanation. And eventually, Tensai was merged with Brodus Clay into a tag team called Tons of Funk. 2 failed characters combined in the hope that the math would somehow work out. But sadly, it didn't. In fact, it got worse. The Lord Tensai experiment lasted less than a year before WWE quietly moved Bloom to NXT commentary, and then a trainer at the Performance Center. The problem with Lord Tensai was that the concept of a white American wrestler from Massachusetts performing a Japanese character was so bizarre that no amount of booking could have saved it. But of course, to really understand how bad things could get in WWE,
that shit could have got over back in the 80s era, but now, no.
You have to go back even further, to the era where the in-ring work was defined by ruthless aggression, but some wrestlers had neither the ruthlessness nor the aggression. The Ruthless Aggression Era was WWE firing on all cylinders at the top while quietly hoarding some of the worst decisions in company history at the bottom. Brock Lesnar was dismantling people. Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit were having classics.
But no
Shawn Michaels
greats.
came out of retirement and immediately had the best matches on every card he appeared on. Kurt Angle was wrestling like a machine. The brand split meant 2 rosters, 2 sets of titles, and twice the television time, which sounds great until you realize it also meant twice the roster spots to fill. And fill them they did. Eugene was a grown man playing a mentally disabled character. Heidenreich arrived like a monster heel, recited poetry on national television, and was inexplicably
Oh my god, in that whole fucking little thing with Michael Cole, bro. Jeez. I feel like that nigga's career was over right there. Right, like right there. You have this nigga figuratively like R-wording a person on fucking screen. It wasn't kind of, I mean, it was insinuated. It was insinuated. Although he didn't do that shit, obviously, it was insinuated. Like, this type of shit was even weird for like shit back in the day.
paired with the Legion of Doom. Big Daddy V was 460 pounds of chaos whose matches were physically painful to sit through. The Great Khali got the world championship despite being incapable of putting on a decent match. But the single worst investment the Ruthless Aggression Era was none other than Nathan Jones. Jones arrived in early 2003, a legit tough Australian and physically imposing in a way that made the locker room take notice. WWE paired him with The Undertaker heading into WrestleMania 19 in a tag match against Big Show and A-Train. The hype was real, but the delivery was catastrophic. Jones was so green, so fundamentally unprepared for a WWE ring that he was quietly pulled from the WrestleMania bout. He lingered on television for a few more months, had a handful of forgettable matches, and was gone before the year was out. His run lasted less than 12 months and was remembered for a WrestleMania program that was abandoned before the event. The bar for Ruthless Aggression Era failures was low, and Nathan Jones somehow tripped over it. The Attitude Era is remembered as wrestling's peak, and for the main event scene, that reputation—
Yeah, I deadass don't even know who Nathan Jones. I probably heard of him in like a couple of lists before, but he's genuinely forgettable. Like all these early people from like the early 2000s, just forgettable, bro. You gotta at least put on some type of show to get remembered.
is completely earned. Stone Cold and The Rock were drawing numbers that may never be matched again. Kane and Undertaker were writing their supernatural saga. Mankind was putting his body on the line. DX was breaking every rule in the book. The creative risks were enormous, and most of them paid off. Pro wrestling became a part of mainstream entertainment. But the Attitude Era was also had a lower card that produced some of the worst in-ring action. The Mean Street Posse were given TV time, despite having no business being in a wrestling ring. Sable became a key player in the women's division based almost entirely on her looks, with zero in-ring credibility. Midian ran around in a trench coat and somehow held the European Championship. The Godfather's entire—
Bro, don't forget about the shit Naked Mini. I only remember that shit because it was so ridiculous, bro. Like, it's crazy how I remember this nigga's gimmick over that nigga Nathan. That's how green. See, I forgot his name. I don't know that nigga name, but yeah, whatever his name was. Like, you have to at least, if you can't wrestle or anything, at least have a crazy ass gimmick or something. It's not gonna be good for your career, but at least you gonna be remembered. But that nigga Midian was running around in a trench coat naked and shit and was a champion.
Their existence was a questionable gimmick stretched across 3 years. But Viscera, a 500-pound man who moved at the speed of a shopping cart with a broken wheel, stands alone as the Attitude Era's worst wrestler. Viscera had been around since 1995 as part of The Undertaker's Ministry of Darkness. He contributed nothing in the ring that a large piece of furniture couldn't have contributed. His matches were slow, structureless, and went nowhere. In an era that rewarded swagger, Viscera had none. The Attitude Era—
He owned this nigga's head, bro. All right, we get it. I still remember Viscera / Big Daddy V just being, you know, of course he can't get around all the time, but like, remember him for the funniest moments and shit, you know, the big love machine that used to, you know, pound people's backside. But like, I ain't gotta do him like that, bro.
produced some of the most electrically entertaining performers wrestling has ever seen. Viscera was proof that not everyone got the memo, but his origins came in the New Generation Era. The New Generation Era was the awkward transitional period between Hulk Hogan's cartoon empire and the Attitude Era's explosion. It was a stretch of years where the company was actively shedding its biggest stars and trying to rebuild around fresher faces. Bret Hart was carrying the work rate. Shawn Michaels was emerging as the most gifted performer alive. The Undertaker was quietly building one of wrestling's greatest long-term characters. And beneath all of that, WWE was fielding a roster of supporting talent so bad it looked like a joke. Mabel won the 1995 King of the Ring and was then inexplicably pushed into the main event scene. Bastion Booger's entire character was that he was disgusting. Mentor debuted.
Oh my god. Yeah, this nigga was disgusting. I remember like seeing a clip of this nigga actually sitting on a nigga's face or whatever he did, bro. It was just disgusting, bro. Ugh. For Vince to have this fucking gimmick, like what the fuck was he thinking, man?
In 1995, dressed as half man, half bull. We also had flops like TL Hopper, and Kane played a dentist before becoming Undertaker's evil brother. However, amidst all this chaos,
man.
Giant Gonzalez remains the era's most spectacular miscalculation. Standing over 7 feet tall,
dude.
Gonzalez was physically one of the most impressive human beings ever to enter a WWE ring. The problem was everything else. He wore a full-body muscle suit because his actual physique was not deemed impressive enough. His WrestleMania 9 match against The Undertaker in 1993 ended via disqualification and was widely considered one of the worst WrestleMania matches in history. He had no moveset. His footwork was non-existent. Everything was slow, awkward, unconvincing, and he was gone from WWE by the end of 1993. The new generation...
And he was literally just choking niggas back and forth. Look, see, that proves that Vince really pretty much only cared if you were buff or like strong. It was like only a little bit of him caring about if like people could actually wrestle like a technical match. And like once he saw a bigger wrestler, he pushed them niggas to the moon, bro. Like this nigga put this nigga in like a whole suit and like thought he's like, oh, this is the next big star. Like it was not the next big star.
Era had some spectacular matches featuring Bret Hart, HBK, and Razor Ramon, but none of that could cover up for the absolute disaster that was Giant Gonzalez. And this brings us to the Golden Era. This era wasn't known for in-ring work and was defined by larger-than-life characters like Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior. Guys like Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat put on some in-ring classics, but the main focus of this era was on bodybuilder physiques and cartoonish characters. Every other era on this list had a clear worst wrestler, but the Golden Era doesn't work that way, and that's what made it fascinating. Take a look at the candidates. We had the Berserker, Akeem, Coco Beware, and dozens of other names, but nobody was watching WWF in 1987 to see Akeem versus Tugboat have a technical classic. They were watching to see Hulk Hogan Hulk up and body slam someone. The characters were the product. The in-ring action was secondary. So let me know in the comments who you think.
I don't know if I can pick like a worse like wrestler from that era because honestly, like he said, like people really were like, you know, not really that good at wrestling. There was only like some good wrestlers. I don't think like people were just like watching to, you know, see if oh yeah, this wrestling match is about to be fire. They were just only watching the characters beat the snot out of each other, bro. That's pretty much it. But everything other like on this list is pretty accurate. Ava Marie was a terrible wrestler. You got Eugene being a controversial, terrible wrestler, and oh my god, I don't even know how that shit even slid by. This nigga was over too, bro. What the fuck were these people thinking? But hey, man, I personally think that one guy that teamed up with the Undertaker, I can't even remember his name, Nathan something, but like he's the most terrible wrestler with the terrible gimmick. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you just can't be remembered for at least having like a good gimmick or something, or at least a passable gimmick, and you're just green as hell, bro, that's top of my list. You're terrible. But like, hey, go check out this list by yourself and go check out the original video. And I have a link in the description. But don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you love the wrestling content I'll be reacting to. But other than that, I'll catch you guys in the next video. We are on the road to 650.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?